Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Are you okay? Have you had a good week? Hello Dee, hello Liz, hello Sue, hello Norman. And whoever else I'm saying hello to, hello. I will be on Discord shortly, just not at the moment. For those who are on Discord, I will be there in a bit. So the aim today is to do an image similar to the reference, not exactly the same. So do not beat yourselves up if it does not look exactly like this one. It probably won't. Hello Heather. It almost certainly won't. So if we can lay that on the table now to say that it almost certainly won't look like this, then at least the expectations aren't going to be there that it will look like this. It will look like a plant, or possibly an alien, or maybe a plant alien, a pantheon, or an aliant.
Triffid?
Yeah, probably a triffid, maybe. Hello, Rosemary. So if you are doing it in water-soluble pen, you'll need a water-soluble pen, but you'll also need a pencil and an eraser because we're going to draw it out first. You'll need also a small brush and a little bit of water today. That's alright, so I won't go bankrupt if you've forgotten to pay just for this one. Hello, Rob.
But you must pay with interest immediately.
Yes. Just sit in a corner and face the wall for a while, Sue, and think about what you've done. Oh, what sort of chutney is he making, Anne? Sounds exciting. Yeah, I am very still. I'm not gesticulating on the screen. I'll do this a bit more. Just trying to find the bird song. The trouble is, if I stop talking for 20 seconds, or if I stop moving for 20 seconds, you all think your screens are frozen, and sometimes it's just me just not wanting to talk constantly. It's just two paints, isn't it? That.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll be on Discord in a bit, Rosemary. I'm trying not to get on Discord until about 10 minutes into the lesson, when the lesson actually starts, because I have other things that I have to possibly do beforehand. And once I'm on Discord, because it's on my phone, I've got my ear attached to it, and it means I'm just stuck into the one position until coffee break, or unless I've got to serve.
Is she being too keen?
Yeah, too keen, Rosemary, too keen. Too keen to listen to my gorgeous honey tones of Black Country lilt.
It's understandable.
It is, isn't it? Hello, Janet. No, you just need a pencil, a 2B pencil, a putty rubber. If you're doing it with water-soluble pen, you'll need a water-soluble pen. You'll need a little bit of water and a small brush. If you're doing it with water-soluble pencils, which is graphite that is water-soluble, you'll still need a brush and some water. But you can just do it in pencil. There's no urgency that it has to be water-soluble. Interestingly, a water-soluble pen doesn't necessarily tell you that it's water soluble. It will not say, well, a permanent pen will say it is permanent, waterproof and light fast. If it doesn't say any of those things, then it's probably going to be water soluble. So this is a Triplus liner. I do need to order some more. I don't think we've got any in stock at the moment. The old Beryl pens work quite nicely as well. So I'll be using that, but not until we've drawn it. I'm not going to wing it and go freestyle. Yeah, I think the Stabilo ones are alright as well, actually. They should be fine. So Jackie's just left, because she's got some stuff to post. And so it's just me now if I've got customers in the shop. So we'll have to leave until, I'll have to leave if I've got customers. But at the moment, and probably until coffee break, all you'll need is a pencil and an eraser. And a 2B pencil. I've just done posted a video on the shop's Facebook page on pencils and graphite and that kind of thing. And just like as the archery bite size. I forgot to do it last week. Wednesday came and went, and then I just ran out of time, so I made sure I'd do it this morning. I'm only going to do 6 of the bite-sized ones, so it gives you around about an hour of different things. I might do some other things at some other point, but it's all to do with time, availability and enthusiasm. So obviously here's the reference image up close that we're kind of aiming for, but may not get there. But we'll get somewhere, won't we? We will get somewhere. We have had some of them in. It took a while to get in. We have. I've got my landscape, Sue. We have got the fancy sharpeners in. I used mine again today to make sure that I got a nice point on my HB/2B pencil. Well, to be honest, I'm going to do my landscape, but if you wanted to do it portrait, that is also fine. However, I might move mine over slightly to one side. I might move mine over to the right hand side today. I don't like things stuck right in the middle, so I might move it over a fraction so there's a bit more space on this side. Now we're working, it's practically a still life, isn't it? Because whether you're, because you're in a TV screen, if it was real life in real life, you'd still only see it as an image, wouldn't you? So because we're working as a still life, it's a good chance for me to discuss how to plan out the still life and all of that kind of thing. So it's good. It's a good learning point. Now, unfortunately, the internet's shocking again today, so I don't know how many of you are watching or anything, but there should be enough time now for you all to have logged in. I hope. Right, let's see if I can get onto Discord today. Doesn't always bode well when the internet's dodgy. Wednesday afternoon. Hello, Rosemarie. Ah, cool. That's good. 10 of you. Nice. Well, no. Actually, it. I don't think it does include me because I'm hosting it. If you know what I mean. So it shouldn't. But if I watch it on my phone, it then includes me, even though I'm still an admin watching it as the person. Or if Jackie has to tune in, it will show her as, even though she's an admin. It's really weird. I can't work it out. The whole thing since Facebook, I know Liz, you were frustrated how Facebook on a laptop has totally changed, and by the 1st of October it's going to stay that way. Today I had a shop now button on my shop page, so it would take you straight to the online shop. Well, it seems that they've decided that there is no shop now button because they've got their own shop. So the only shop now button that I can use is if I pay Facebook to have a shop with them. But at the same time, it won't let me add a link to the online shop because they want it all. I honestly feel, personally, that and Facebook, if you're listening, because you probably are, I feel that you're doing yourself a huge disservice because you're going to discourage so many people to move away from what was a good platform. As performers and singers, they will probably all be leaving in their droves over the next month or two as the new copyright laws come into place. And it's just not user friendly anymore. It's all commercial driven, and that's not good. And I don't think so. So I think the problem is it's going more on money, because it's seen it a good revenue service, even though businesses pay billions of pounds in advertising to them. I mean, Zuckerberg doesn't get to be one of the richest men in the world from being nice. I know that, and I love the fact that Facebook is a free tool, and the fact that we can do this. However, I don't like the constant changes, and I don't like the fact now that I'm pressured into having a Facebook shop, even though I've already got an online shop, just so I can have easier links. So I will find ways around it, don't worry. But it is just a little bit frustrating when they constantly change the goalposts on it feels like an almost monthly basis. Oh, you can't. No, there's no one. You can't discuss it. But what is also frustrating is obviously I have a smartphone. I have an iPhone, but the way Facebook interacts and looks on my phone is nothing the way it interacts and looks like on a laptop. So there's no similarity, and I can do more things on my phone than I can on the laptop. But then there are other things that I can't do on my phone on Facebook that I can only do on my laptop. So it's just really frustrating. But I think the younger people are definitely moving away from Facebook. The good thing is actually, and I'll probably be doing this with my singing side of things. Discord will allow me to share the screen that you can see here still. But you could also chat to me if you wish, or not chat to me if you wish. So there is always a problem. So if Facebook ever do decide that we're being too greedy having all of these groups, we can do exactly what we're doing, but through Discord instead, because we've got a group for each of the classes anyway. It just means that I would have to record the lessons individually and then put them on closed YouTube accounts. So there's so many options now. It's a wonderful world. It really is. Right, so no, I mean I absolutely hate technology, and I'm having to force myself to use it. I'm going to move. I'm not going to move. I'm going to move. I'm going to move the whole thing over this way. So because it's a still life, It's not going to move, and it's a photograph, so it really isn't going to move. I'm going to move, so 4 fingers in. So my plant is not going to come over that line. And I'm going to go, maybe 2 fingers in on this side. So here I've got, that's a bit wonky. I've got a water jar here that I'm going to spill if I do anything else. So I'm going to rub these out. So this is just a very vague line to know that the whole of my picture is going to fit in this. So you're going to see how the crazy way I do these kind of things and work out how on earth to do this. So I'm going to go 2 fingers up for the bottom of the pot, which is going to be maybe 4 or 5 fingers across. It goes out slightly at the top and in slightly at the sides, but you can make it whatever you want, can't you? And draw a small ellipse. It's about a pencil width at its widest. So we're really getting the foundations of the picture in. Have any of you used water-soluble pen before? I think Janet, you did with me, didn't you? You did. We did on a Wednesday class. We did a shaggy ink cap toadstool in water-soluble pen. Quite a few years ago now, wasn't it? Yeah, we did. And probably 2 to 3 fingers wide inside. So that's the start of it. Oh, it's going to be exciting then. I think you might like it, Sue. Maybe, possibly. Well, you can see what you can do with it, Liz, because you can do it with pencil anyway. And then I'll try and get some in. I just keep forgetting to do the orders. It's yeah, you won't see the bottom of the pot. It is just that top lip of the pot. Oh, we did in the watercolour class, didn't we, Dee? We did a landscape with the bridge. Yeah, I remember. So because this is a drawing, we've got a little bit more play with what we've got. I mean, it could look like an octopus trying to ooze its way out, or upside down a jellyfish. Maybe a jellyfish got stuck in a hole. Maybe. Yeah, that's it with the black pens, because with the black pen, if it gets wet, and because black isn't a real colour, you see, so when the black pen gets wet, it brings out the way it was made, because most pens are made with several colours to make black, even though they all write black. So when it gets wet, sometimes it might go green, sometimes it might just go grey, sometimes it might go blue, sometimes it might go pink. And it doesn't always mean that the same pen will always go exactly the same colour, but I know these Triplus liners do go more of a purple when they're wet, which is really cool. So what I want to do, roughly in the middle, I'm going to draw a spike. Like that. The one that's closest to us. And then there is a little one. So we're going to work in layers. This has got handles on, hasn't it, this pot? I can just about make out the top of a handle, but we're not going to draw that. Oh, no. So it's always in the planning. There's another one about the same length here. Another one. Here. And another. There. As you can see, I'm layering it, but I'm working out from the ones closest to me to start with. There's quite a lot of layers. We may not do as many layers as there is here. I don't know. So again, this is where we look at relationships of where things are in relation to others. So there's a bit there, but then there's another one that comes out like that. So it doesn't matter, because we're doing this in pen. Basically what I'm going to do is I'll talk to you, if you're only going to do it in pencil, I'll talk to you about how to do it in pencil as well. I'm not that cruel. I mean, technically there is another one that's coming in behind that one, but that is if you're really feeling it today. But I'll show you how to do it in pencil, and I'll show you how to do it in pen. But if we're doing it in pen, what I'll do is I'll draw it all out. I don't need to do the shading, because that'll be done in pen. So this is a really rough sketch, and then I will just go over it in pen and rub out all of the pencil lines, so I haven't got the huge botheration. That doesn't come out too far, and then there's another one there. So it will all definitely be sketched out before coffee break, as it should be. Pen and wash sometimes can be done a lot quicker. The only annoying thing is, and you can, reduce that a lot, is that if you're fairly confident with a pen, what you don't want is to have all of the lines exactly this. Do you know what I mean? If you're having to draw it out, then you have to draw it out exactly the same all over in pen. It's a bit boring, and I don't want it to be boring for you. So we'll try and make it a little bit more interesting. Is this? It's aloe, isn't it? This. Is it aloe? It looks similar to aloe, and it's got the same discoloration of red at the end, but I don't think it doesn't look like my aloe as much. Aloe vera. Hello, Tom. Hello, Susie. having a look now. There's another thin one there, and there's another one hiding there that's going up like that. You can make the sound effects, that's fine, especially if you're on your own. It's almost like the fire. Do you remember Tales of the Unexpected? If I was doing this, ding ding ding, da 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 da, because that was a nice dance. So I'm just working from the forward bit backwards. But if you don't have as many as I've got, you're probably going to be better off. It's amazing how long and thin they get, isn't it? And I know I've missed off a few in here, but I'll put those in afterwards. Now that's almost to the top, that one. So at the moment, because I haven't put in the left hand side ones, it feels like it's leaning towards the right hand side, but that's not the case. I just haven't filled these ones in, and it's because I'm looking now just to see where they come in and which one is first. Oh, I've got to say, have any of you watched the new All Creatures Great and Small? Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, obviously it's the same story, but just a modern retelling of it. So it's still set in the vintage era. On Channel 5, it's available on Catch Up as well. I'm like a Whippet Rosemary with me pointy bits. I'm sure I'm missing one though. I'm sure I'm missing like a little spindly one or something. But to be honest, who's gonna know, eh? What I'm gonna do in a minute is flick to the big reference picture, so it might help you. I only saw the first one. I did fall asleep during it, so as I seem to do with everything at the moment when I get home. And I recorded the second one last night. But it's the same theme tune, isn't it? Siegfried's good though, isn't he? Well, what you can do, once you've got a few of them in, you can just almost like tuck them in. Tuck them in around each other or behind. Because no one's going to know. I mean, they're all going to be similar, aren't they? But not exactly the same. Because they all hide behind each other. It's why it's so useful with designers and thing. Have I done that one? I've done that one. Then there's another one. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, like that. And then one that comes around behind. Ooh, Medusa's hair. That's a really good way of describing it, Sue. I think. Because you kind of want it to. Yeah, it's certainly different, isn't it? I need to stick another one in now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stick a few in that don't necessarily have a home. Now I've just got to work out which is actually the plant and which is a gap, you know? But I might leave it at that, or I do feel like I want to bring one out a bit more. I'm going to bring this one out a bit more. Half a plant. Hello, Arthur. I'm just sticking a few random ones in now to make it work. So invent some. If in doubt, oh, there's a tiny little one there. Let's stick that in. I don't think I've been as adventurous with mine and made them come out as far as they could. I think that might do. I'm intrigued now about your hair, Heather. There are big gaps in a few places. So if you try to lessen all of the gaps, the issue you'll have is it won't look as natural because the gaps need to be there. I was just thinking about the classes earlier, and I've still got so many classes to do this week. I've got 3 to do tomorrow, 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And hope that they all make sense. The swans on the moat were quite nice last night in acrylics. And the Yosemite Park was quite nice as well on yesterday afternoon. Sue's got a wonky leg, she's just said, so she wouldn't have been able to come to the class in real life. But this is where these online classes are really good when we do eventually reopen the classroom. Although with last night's new clear rules, goodness knows when we'll reopen at the moment. If you can follow the new rules, not to get too political. It's not political really, is it? Good luck if you can follow them. Oh, I think the one I put on the pound coin, Sue, was Sequoia National Park. I don't know. Town news. Buzz's shop is no. The birds are still there. They're just a bit quiet, maybe. Buzz's shop is being repainted, ready for the new people to move in, and they're hoping to be open later this month, I think. Yeah, there's. I don't know what. I've not heard much about anything exciting happening just yet. I think we're all. I'm possibly looking at doing a late night shopping in December like we did last year. But no, that's the good thing about these classes is that if the classroom is reopened, if ever it's reopened, and you're not well, you can still or not well in that you don't want to give germs, or you've got a bad leg and you can't, or your hip's playing up or whatever, and you can't make the stairs. You can still join us online, and I think that's really, really good. I do. So, in terms of the plant, you're possibly going to hate me, those of you that are doing the... how could you hate me? Those that are doing the water-soluble pen, because if you're doing the water-soluble pen, the little white bits on each thing will have to be sketched in. If you are doing pencil, you still have to do those white bits. There is no copping out of this. You will just do that with an embossing pen instead. So this is where it gets a little bit fiddly. These flowers inside. I've no idea what these are called. Stuart. Yeah. Well, that's cut, I don't know. I'm sorry to hear about your internet. Rest in peace, this is internet. Oh, hang on, I'm not... It's horrible. I remember, I don't know if Jenny, Anne, you were at the talk that I gave at Fenny Compton WI on wartime artists. I got there, plenty of time to set up and everything, and my laptop decided to do an update, so I couldn't actually use the projector or anything. It was just, I had to wing it. They're kind of like bands, but they don't necessarily go right the way across the leaf. They're like knobbly bits. Well, I might sing on the streets at Christmas, because I also forgot there's a bandstand, isn't there, by David's Flowers. I could sing in the bandstand because I was working it out. I haven't measured it, but I think the bandstand is about 3 metres. If I stood in the middle or at the end of the bandstand and sang in towards Barclays Bank, then that would be about over 3 metres for people to stand. So that could work, but the difficulty I'm going to have, because last Christmas I sang in the street. I sang outside the shop, I sang down the bottom of Parson Street, in Marketplace, the late night shopping, in Church Lane in 2 places, but I had staff cover, so I need to chat with Jackie and see if she can do the evening hours on that day. Otherwise I'll just be stuck to singing outside the shop. Yeah, that's true. No, on usually late night shopping, it's people. It's usually around about the 17th of December, so it's usually people just grabbing anything that's basically festive or could be a present. And then on Christmas Eve, that's when all the men come in shopping and they go, I need a gift for my wife. She does art. And I go, oh, okay, what sort of art do they do? I don't know. She paints. Oh, what does she paint? I don't know. Have you got brushes? Yes, what brushes does she use? I don't know. How about a gift voucher? Yes, a gift voucher. Yes, I saw the band on Saturday. I didn't actually go and see because I'm on my own on Saturdays in the shop, so I didn't go and see the band, but I saw uh, also Bob Dainty. He posted about them, which is nice because I forget about the bandstand. I only ever know the guy that shouts at people and tell them they're going to go to hell. In the bandstand, but I don't know if you have to book it or just turn up and hope for the best. Be nice to have a bandstand in Marketplace, wouldn't it? Or People's Park. Yeah, I asked the town council if we could get a bandstand back, but I don't think they've got the budget for it. But we could crowdfund for it. That would be nice. Yeah, you see, I think it's needed, especially now more than ever. Yeah, and they're knobbly. They're raised white bits. Yeah, because even if you're just doing it in pencil, you're gonna have to use the embossing tool to do this. So it's got to be done regardless. And none of this. Yeah. Well, it is. We've got the time. We've got the time. Have we got the energy? Probably not. If you notice, the middle bits of these haven't got the knobbles on. Most of them. It would be nice to see that bandstand used more. You're right, Liz. I think, to be honest, now the world of social distancing and how difficult it is for performers to perform live inside. I'm sorry, Sue. Yes, it is a relief. Mainly the tips. I've seen the campaign that's called because there was Eat Out to Help Out. Now the theatre people are saying take a seat out to help out, which means that theatres they're asking the government to try and implement a ruling. Because if you can sit on a plane with a mask, surely you can sit in a theatre with a mask, and you can sit in a pub and a restaurant without a mask. So people who are in the theatres and the performance world, such as myself and you, Liz, can't understand the weird, wacky rulings. So there's a campaign called "Take a Seat Out to Help Out," which is kind of saying, well, we'll just miss every other seat in the auditoriums, and that way people can sit and they're all facing the same way with a mask, and it should be fine. But it's been broached before and met very negatively, so I'm not quite sure what the difference is between boarding a plane and going on holiday. Yeah, I think it is all to do with capital, and I don't think the arts. And what frustrates me the most, whose son did you used to teach, Liz? Who have I said? Bob Dainty's son was that. Um, it is confusing because and I know personally a lot of singers we're just not prepared to do anything about it yet, because the onus would be on us, evidently, to make sure everybody followed the rules, and it's too difficult. It's far too confusing for people, especially if they've had a couple of drinks, which is what the people who would hire you for, really. So yeah, it is difficult. But you're right, Sue. A film is often a film or a show is a lot less than most flights, um, and people are sitting in the right way. In the air, there is a bigger air circulation. So I don't know. It is confusing, and there seems to be very little. Yeah. I think people just want clarity, don't they? I think they. I mean, at the start, the lockdown, the message was stay at home, save lives. I mean, that couldn't have been clearer, and yet there were still people that couldn't follow it. However, I think since certain goings on, um, they've. I think it's been given to people's discretion, and I always think that's a bad move. Anything that's left to the public's discretion is never good. I mean, look at the vote for Boaty McBoatface. I mean, that should have been a pinnacle to decide then, oh, we won't trust people to just go to their own decisions. Yes. Yeah. You'd think. I'm nearly done with my novels. Um, they're not all bands. Some of them are actually like knobbly circles. So we don't know if the Michaelmas Fair will be going ahead. I'm imagining with the new guidelines, it's going to be impossible because you can't really share a roller coaster with people that are only in your own household or in groups of six and stuff. So I. Yeah, you see, I'm in two minds about the Michaelmas Fair. To be honest, I like the principle of it, and I love the idea of it. However, I love the idea, and I think when town centres, when the fair was there originally, the rides were much smaller, and I remember there were several businesses a few years ago in Marketplace, but the backs of some of these rides are now 60, 70 foot high and solid, and you can't see a single thing behind them. And it kind of has sprawled out now, so it's now nearly every car park, every street, every area. Mhm. I can imagine, but it's difficult because I obviously it's nice and it's fun and all of that kind of thing. Um, and it is only for a few days. However, you say it's only for a few days. Um, that they seem to give it an extra day or two to arrive and then to set up and then I mean they always gone on the by the Saturday morning, but it's they are pushing it a fraction. So I just don't know how I feel about it, but it would be is it there was another one that hasn't gone ahead. Is it Brackley's or somewhere's not gone ahead, or is it going ahead? I'm confused. I don't know. I see bits of news and then I don't know. I don't retain it all. did see on Facebook there was. No. Oh, I think I may have a customer. Let me just jot down. It'll give you time to do your bobbles, won't it? But hopefully you can see my bobbles. Right, I'll go down and have a look. I know I can see Kathy struggling to help. I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. Yeah. Yes, how are you getting on with your nobbles on Facebook? I shouldn't ask you that question on a Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, I don't think I'd go to IKEA. I have seen somebody else that went to IKEA, but it would be a different one because they live in Lichfield. Yeah, this is the thing, but I didn't tell you about doing so many leaves until you do this, because at least then, otherwise you just had a dead plant with like 2 leaves on. You're nobbling, are you, Dee? That's fine. So if you were going to do this, as I say, if you were going to do this just in pencil, then all of these knobbly bits need to be done in emboss. Well, it's still got to be done, and it's trying to get them wide enough with the embosser, I think. Oh gosh, it is nearly cup of tea time. Sue, I've had to learn over the years to keep certain things quiet, otherwise you'd have all abandoned me by 2:15. You'd have all had an headache. An headache. I never finished my lunch. I'm just going to have a quick bite of a sandwich. Do excuse me. So round about 3 o'clock. We will break as usual. Those of you with slaves to make your tea can carry on with your novels. But it's sort of a straightforward process if you add the pen. So it's not, and once I show you one bit, you can do all the others. Oh, well, it's a sandwich, thank you, and yes. I only managed half of my lunch today because time just approached me. Well, not all of them have got nubbles all the way up or across. There's one in the middle that's fairly nobble free. The good news is, I'm just trying to think of some. The good news is that you won't draw around all of these nobbles again. So there's always good news in it, isn't there? No, that's good. Fewer leaves are probably easier, but it will look better if you've got more leaves. But, you can always add more leaves afterwards. It's just a matter of tucking them behind, so don't worry if you haven't got enough on. You can leisurely add leaves. Right, I'm going to go and put my kettle on now and make me a gin. I mean a coffee. Back in a minute. Your tea's arrived before mine, Liz. I haven't got a slave though. coffee is here. Oh, now don't forget, I will be showing you how to do these things, but you don't have to do them at the same time as me. Ooh. No. Because the next stage is going to be pen, but it's not going to be difficult pen. Maybe. I suppose I need to get to camera 2 so you can see how I'm going to do this. So now it'll all be about light and dark. Right. Yeah, because they're lumpy. It don't matter if you've not done them on the edge. That's all right, because you can do that later with the pen. You don't want to do all the work with the pencil and then do exactly the same stuff with the pen again. Ain't nobody got time for that. Right, so I'm just digging out a small brush. I won't be doing the brush yet, but I'm just going to get it out just in case. Sort of like a number 1-ish, but it's all to do with the pen now. So you want to make things look like they're behind each other. It's all to do with making the background ones, in this particularly, making the background ones darker. So I'm going to do a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to do, let's hope this pen, oh, somebody's pressed too hard on this pen. Look, it's got no end. I got this out of my pot. Who's done that? Hang up. Right, this one's got an end. So I'm going to sort of do a bit of a line, but missing out where the knobbles are. And I'm not drawing around the knobbles either. So each pen is going to go up, miss where the knobbles are. You can almost do it like a perforated line. Yeah, you just miss a bit. But it's good to have them there. All your leaves are going to be well, they're knobbly and perforated. Perforated in pen. Because the magic happens when we add a bit of shading and yep. Yeah, because you're not drawing them, you're just leaving a gap for them. Because the rest will be done with the ink. I know, it's very exciting. I don't know how you can contain yourselves at home. I really don't. I'm on the edge of my seat here and I know what's happening. I'm doing it again. I'm doing the right hand side first and then I've got to flip it and lean over it. I am a wally. Yeah, that's true. I could turn the pad upside down. I'm going to lean. I mean, as long as the pen's dry, it won't really matter. I'll just arc my arm around. Oh, then you can't see. Come on the other way. I can probably do it with my left hand, to be honest. But I don't want to show off and make you feel inferior, you know. So I'll stick to doing this way. No, what I'm doing instead is I'm just holding the pen further up, so I'm not leaning on it. I have got a marl stick I could use. I'm gonna have to start using a marl stick in watercolour, because I'm leaning on my paper too much since I've had the cameras. When I used to paint upside down, you see, it was very different, because the way I hold the pad and everything is very different. But now I'm using a flat surface, painting the right way up with cameras. I need to lean at times so you can still see what I'm doing. But the difficulty of that is that it means that I'm leaning and the oils from my hand are coating the paper. So it's causing problems with the painting. And I can't sell them for millions. Wouldn't it be nice? I'd help if my perforations are actually in any vague resemblance to where the knobbles were. So it's all very vague at the moment, and that's fine. Yeah. Oh, for those Bo Norton fans who enjoy the live music, I have made a decision on how I'm going to do it going forward. So I haven't announced this officially yet, so the few of you that do listen to my lives here, we'll get a sneak preview. I'm doing it on Discord. I've set up a Bo Norton channel for Discord, and it means I can share the broadcasting software like I used the other day. But it also means that if you unmute your mic, you could clap or chat to me or request. And then if you wanted to chat amongst yourselves, you just mute your own mic, you know? So it's almost like being in the same room, which is good fun. And I think, I mean, it's free to set up. I've put a link on the website, on the Bo Norton website. And I think that might be the way forward, because there's no stipulation on anything with that, because it's meant for gamers, which it's all about copyright, isn't it? So we'll try that for a while, and if it works, I think quite a few of my vintage performer friends will be interested to hear how I get on with it. Right, so I've done my Medusa or my jellyfish. I will. Yeah, I have no idea how it's going to work, but I think in theory it should work, shouldn't it? Because, I mean, Liz, you can vouch for this, because, and Sue, my art history courses are done through Discord. So what it will be is it will feel more like a one-off as well, because you can't watch it back in the same sense. So what I will have to do is record the broadcast separately, so I've got a copy of it that I can then transfer to YouTube at a later date if I want to, or I can make it more of a private show. Not that sort of a private show, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so you could, you know, like with the art history, and it all depends on your microphone settings. I mean, I could mute you all if I wanted and make sure that none of you could speak and just that you could hear. But if you, on Discord, you have the option to mute your own mic, don't you? To quieten yourself. So you can, if you were chatting amongst yourselves, you could mute the mic. But then if you wanted to talk to me or be heard to clap, because it is quite weird when you're doing a live performance that's on social media, because you don't get the same level of interaction. I mean, you do get like the hearts and the emojis and stuff and the comments, but it's not the same feel as being within an audience, you know. So yeah, I think it'll be quite interesting to try out. And since we've already got me and a few of you that watch the lives have already got a little bit of knowledge with Discord, I think it could. Yes, you can heckle, but don't forget, Liz, I can mute you. But yeah, I think it'd be more like being in a show for you anyway, and for me. So I will do a trial one at some point to see how it goes, because I know a lot of performers are thinking about the same. How can we move forward with it? And I know some will go on YouTube. But a lot of the performers, it's interesting, a lot of the performers use YouTube to be monetized. However, if you're doing a live stream on YouTube and you play a song that is copyright, it keeps you, it allows you to play the song, unlike Facebook, but it stops it from being monetized. You know, they lose revenue from that, especially the really popular ones like Tom. The unpopular ones like me, it doesn't really matter, because I'm never going to make money out of mine. I think I've only got like 12 followers on YouTube for the singing. Oh, and I've had a photograph of my Christmas CD, and it will be out. I should get it by the end of the week, so it should be out soon. I'm sure some of the songs will be dodgy in there, but you know what you get for a £5 with me. There's 20 songs, so if there's a couple dodgy, what more do you want for a £5? Right, so I just want to show you how this is going to work. This frond, or whatever they are, is behind these three. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of light hatching. This is a little bit of hatching right where it meets the crease, so to speak. And I'm going to do that in a few places just so you can get an idea. So you do more hatching with pens. Now fortunately I did do a little chat about hatching this morning on the drawing video. So I'll do a few. Yeah, you see some of them, it doesn't matter that much which one is behind. Or there's going to be lots behind, aren't there? So the really dark ones, and you can decide yourselves which one's going to be darker or lighter, because where you've got a higher concentration of ink, that's actually going to be the darker points when you add the water. I'm going to leave that phone call, I think, because I close soon anyway. So you can see I'm not doing all of them, but I am doing some of them. So if you want a really dark, intense dark, you can cross hatch, also featured in this morning's video. We're getting a lot of sales calls at the moment, you see, so I'm a bit loath to spend my time saying no, I'm not interested, please leave me alone. No, this is a problem. You know, I've been in business for 10 years here, but I've been in business for a long time. If I want new broadband, I'm big enough and old enough to know how to search for it myself without having somebody ring me up to remind me that I can have new broadband if I want. And I know they're only doing their job, but it's stopping me from doing mine. I used to wonder when I was a kid, growing up in retail, my boss was such a miserable, grumpy man, and I seen him frog march reps out of shops without appointments, getting a hot rage over people asking for refunds that they couldn't have a refund for, and so rude to cold callers. And I used to think, oh my goodness, why are you even in this job if you're doing that? Now obviously he was in his 60s at that point, and I'm nowhere near that, and I'm already like it. And I think I can totally understand why, because you do get to a point where you just get so exasperated by it all. So I know the kitchens are huge on the telly adverts, aren't they? With an island. If I had an island in the kitchen, it would be like I wouldn't have any room for the kitchen. No, my house isn't that big. Isn't that small? My little cottage, but the kitchen's tiny. Right. So can you see? Let me. Oh, hang on. I nearly tried to turn over the camera with my phone. That wouldn't have worked. Can you see here how the darks are working? So because we've got a bit of ink already around the edges of the paper of each water. When you dampen them, it should. Now, the better the paper, the better the effect. But what I'll do is I'll do one or two so you can see. Now, this is an old round brush, so it hasn't really got a good point. And I don't want tons of water. But what I'm going to do is I'll take this one, wet it, and let it move up my knobbles. Honestly, if anybody ever walked into my classes, and I can wet the edges, look, of each plant, and bring it in around the knobbles that are drawn. Now, if you have too much water on your brush, what will happen is it's just going to run everywhere. But this will tint your paper enough to give you an idea of your knobbles. And you can use the ink almost like a palette at times. I mean, this is just I think this is the sea white pad I've got here, so it's not a watercolour pad I'm using, but can you see the difference with that? Look at that. And then, so I'm only using a damp brush. Oh, if you've got a water brush, you know, the fancy brushes that just fill of water, you can use one of those. I'm going to miss a few out and then do some more here to let it dry. You can see I'm deliberately using a scruffy brush that has no point, rather like my existence. And then I can soften it, wet it, and if you wanted to bring your knobbles out, you can get your knobbles out that way. So you can see where we've cross-hatched much darker, that's where you get a darker effect. So there's not tons and tons of water on this, there is just some. So on an area where there's less shading, you're just going to get less pen. Now, a word of caution, because there always has to be one. If your painting is wet or damp, do not put any ink over the top and expect it to blend. It will not blend. What you have to do is just wait for the ink to dry, then you can put it on and re-wet it. But if you try to wet it, so if you put pen on a damp paper, what will happen is it traps that ink, and no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to move it at all. So something to think about. Oh, good. Well, that's what this is for, isn't it, really, the classes? I tell you where to start and give you new ideas and new experiences to know whether you like it or you don't like it. Yeah. And you can move your way around, so miss some out. You can't get rid of your pen lines, but the idea of pen and ink is that you don't. Now, most pen and wash in this style, the pens are not are not light fast. So what that means is they will fade eventually. They're known as fugitive, and so they will disappear. But it does enable you to vary the amount of ink on there. So if you've got a very absorbent paper, it wouldn't necessarily lift off the ink. If you're using a sort of a hot pressed watercolour paper, that would work really well. You can almost get rid of all traces of ink on a hot pressed pad, if you so wish. But I think the hardest thing when you're learning to paint, it is all about where to start, what to do first, what order to do things in. And the reason why I do so many subjects is to allow you to experience so many different things, because you know I've said this before, and this is no slight on other art teachers, even though we all know I'm the best. They tend to only teach what they enjoy doing or what they are confident to do, whereas I prefer to teach what you may enjoy to do, and show you a nice variety of ways of doing something instead of just the same way of doing it all the time. So I'll go, oh no, let's do it in a different way. Let's try it with this. Let's use this colour or this brush or this technique to get that impression, because we've tried the other way before. Because not everything is going to work for you the same way as it works for someone else. So I feel my role is to show you all the different ways, and hopefully one of those ways will work for you. Exactly, and I think that's the point, is that it won't. But it may not work for you, but someone else in class, they're doing amazing things with it, because whatever their learning style or however their brain works really well for that certain activity or that certain technique, whereas another one may not work for them at all. And then, but for you, you're going great guns because you think it's the best thing that you've ever done, and it may well be because you've had the new experience with it. So it really does make a big difference. And yeah, and it is, you know, it's the confidence, isn't it? You want to feel confident in what you do. What you don't want to do after you've come to lessons is to stare at a blank piece of paper and just think, oh my goodness, I can't do this. I just don't know what to do, and then you get upset, and the whole purpose of learning how to paint and draw disappears, and it becomes scary. And there are plenty of people that happens to. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, but they've all been totally new ways of doing things, haven't they? Did you get anywhere with your splash? I'm just going to zoom out a fraction. Look at that. You could use watercolour pencils on it, or you could use just coloured pencils on it, because don't forget, the black on here will always be reconstitutable. So if you add other colours on the top, the black may well run. So if you wanted to add tone to this, you'd want to use normal pencil crayons rather than water soluble ones. And actually it would work quite nicely because you've already got your tone. So all you'd need to do is just colour over the top quite lightly, and it will work nicely for you, hopefully. Look how easy it is to build up though. But notice that I'm adding the tentacles randomly to let each area dry before I go in. Because what you don't want to do is to have them all running into each other. I mean, it's an effect, but it may bring you frustration rather than joy. And there's enough ways to get frustration in life at the moment, let alone a little pot plant. Yeah, no, I haven't wet any of these. I'm just going to darken along the base of that one. Yeah, it's good fun. It is good fun. Yeah. It may be the fact that you are the only one on Discord as well today, so that will have helped you. Yeah, you kind of have, really. Well, that was my next thing there, yes. So I can't and I won't put any ink on the areas that I've already wet yet, and that is because they are still a little bit damp. But you can add more ink if you want to. You can keep adding ink to make it as dark, but obviously it depends on how thick your paper is. You don't want it to go through. This is just 150 GSM paper, but the good thing about Sea Whites is it is actually for students, so they know you're going to do colour washes on it or what have you, and it's heavy enough to do this kind of a wash. It's a bit like if you're using watercolour paper. Do you remember my watercolour pencil demo a couple of months ago? On watercolour paper, if you've got a bigger sheet than you're working on, you could scribble pen down the edge and use that as a palette to lift off the pen. The better the paper, the more you can, like Dee's just said, that she's worked out that she can almost blend the line out absolutely completely if she adds a big enough blob of water. So, there's a lot you can do with this, and you can make sure the darker lines are darker afterwards. And you can see where I did the darker cross hatching, how that is staying. Let's quickly, will camera 2 show it? No, but it makes it feel like a drawing, doesn't it? It's soft, gentle. Little and often. In fact, the pen work often takes a lot less time than the drawing in, because, and I think we found that with the lane that we did, the snowy one, that some of you can remember, because the drawing's already there. We're just adding the tone, and we're only adding one colour, so it works better. What pad have you got? Oh, it's the same one I'm using. Yeah, you only really want a very damp brush rather than a wet brush. I mean, that's why if you do have a water brush, they are quite good because they are very economical with the amount of water that's being used. They're not overly expensive either. I'm sure we've got some on Shop Happy. There's over the next month, Shop Happy's website is being severely overhauled and upgraded to make it a better shopping experience, and I'm looking forward to that because I'm always moaning at them. Yeah, I'll talk about the pot in a bit. I haven't forgotten. It's a nice way to build it up, isn't it? I mean, if you were doing this by pencil, you could use your smudgy stick. I do the dark bits like I have in ink, and then use the smudgy stick to blend it out, and then soften as you go further up the point of your tentacles. I don't want to know what's going on behind closed doors. I really don't want to know. So you can see this pen goes more purple, but you may have a black pen that will go green, or you might have one that'll go grey. But they're a bit like, it's a bit like wallpaper, you know, where you can't always get exactly the same colour, because some of these Triplus pens will go purple, some will go grey, some will go green. But also, and I think we found out when we were using them for that class with the snow, it depends on the amount of ink in it. Sometimes the more concentrated ink, it goes one colour, and the lighter ink, the more dilute ink, it goes another colour. No, it looked alright actually with the snow scene with the green version. A bit more like Aurora Borealis type stuff. It was at Christmas time. But were you here? Did you start before Nick? Yeah, we did do one. It was sort of there was a bridge on the lower right, and then a path from the left that went over the bridge, and then there was like a little cottage building right in the middle. Well, it's because it was just pen and wash, wasn't it? So there was no colour as such. Yeah. Because I remember Nick did a really nice one of that. I know. We're building up. The issue is, and sometimes it's a good thing to just use the bits where you've only got a little bit of ink to start with, because if you use too much ink too soon, it kind of eats up everything. So, you know, it's good to be sparing and then add more ink afterwards. Now, I haven't touched this one yet, but I can now do a little bit darker cross hatching on that one, and maybe there on that one, and maybe a little bit on that one to bring it forward. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. You could do a pineapple like this, couldn't you? Just saying. Mind you, there's lots of uses for pen and wash. There are lots of different variations as well, because you've got watercolour and pen, which is generally a permanent pen on watercolour. You've got pen and wash, which tends to be water-soluble ink and water. Then you've got pen, which is generally permanent ink, and using, you know, drawing techniques like hatching and cross-hatching. So there are very different ways of working with ink, and it all depends on what you feel comfortable working with. But I haven't forgotten the pot. We need to add the pot. We've got loads of time. We've got 15 minutes before I kick you out. No, I didn't cross hatch all of them. I just did a few, but you can add more afterwards. So in an hour or two, or tomorrow, when it's all dry, you could add a bit more ink to some areas to bring them out a little bit more. Good, I'm glad you're finding it relaxing, this. It all makes a difference. If I have a slightly wetter brush though, it does mean that I can carry the colour a little bit further up each leaf thing. But what having a little bit of ink does is it just tints it enough without turning it all purple. Because if you're a bit heavy on the old ink, that could happen without you even noticing until it's too late. You're better off adding incrementally. It does make a huge difference. So I'll let you have another minute or two, and then I'll just talk to you about the bowl or the pot that it's in. Am I being speedy today? Well, it's 10 to 4, which is normally when we normally finish. And I haven't finished yet. Or maybe I just want to get rid of you all. I don't think I'm being quicker than normal. But I did say it's one of those things that once you get started, it's very easy just to carry on with, because you know what, there's not a new technique for each leaf. Absolutely, that's it. So you get it all on, and then this evening or tomorrow, that's when you can go, I need that to come out a bit, or I need to push that in a bit. But you can see even the pale bits are still darker than the paper. So the whole impression still works. Yeah. And of course, don't forget, if you wanted to add any knobbles later on, you could, like in amongst. Let me go to camera 2 just in case it shows up. So here, this one is just not knobbly. I can add a bit of white gel pen, he says, over the top of some of them, and it reinstates your knobble. I mean, you don't want to go wild with it, do you? Absolutely. So you can use your white gel pen, because it's a pen, isn't it? So you've been using pen, so it's not like you're using something different. No, I mean the whole thing, I suppose you would call mixed media because of how it is, but that's allowed now. Mixed media is good. Never used to be. It's so funny how the world has changed. Yeah. Well, that's what it's about now. So at about 5:2, I will show you the pot. Although I need to show you that the water to it as well. So I am going to draw around the lines of the pot that I want to keep, because I have a lot of lines like that. Yeah, maybe I've got a lot of lines, a lot of leaves. So I'm going to heavily cross hatch down here. And I'm going to leave a slight gap. Because don't forget, on terms of my paper, I can't get rid of my pen lines. down, leave the rim light. Like that, and then that's when you start thinking about the moisture on it. But I want to get rid of these pencil lines off the plant. Oh, the only thing is, by the way, if you are quite moist palmed, so to speak, the sweat off your hands can actually activate the pen. So just be careful about leaning on things. So I'm actually going to work from the lightest end of the pot into the darker end. And the reason for that is that if I started from the darker end and there was just too much dark, it would just be too much. It would just all be dark. But here you see you can get a nice gradation. Get me talking like an art teacher. So we've got a little pot. Now I wouldn't entertain necessarily doing a coloured background in pen, because you know the background in this is much darker, isn't it? And it's bringing it forward. But I wouldn't do it. And I think it'd just be too dark. If I was going to, I'd probably use watercolour or something else, but because it's cartridge paper, I'm not going to. Let me move this up so you can see the pot up close. And then I'm going to get the hairdryer on it, let it dry, then erase all of the pencil lines, and hopefully it'll look alright. And maybe I'll add more pen afterwards, but I'll see what it looks like in a second. You can do, but obviously I'd rub out all my knobbles if I did that earlier, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I rubbed out a lot of the pencil lines first. Good, I'm glad you've enjoyed it, Janet. I've still got a little bit of soggy ink on this. Let's go back in, so I'll just get the hairdryer on it, which I wouldn't normally do on an inky picture, but obviously if I'm going to erase, I don't want it to be soggy. I'm hopeful that I can just... Oh, hello, Kathy. I didn't see you on there. I wasn't expecting you today. How are you doing? Okay, it's getting rid of a lot of my... Now, my knobbles I didn't actually outline with the pen or with the paint. So I've got sort of like disappearing knobbles. Well, you could use a different pen or paper. It will make a difference. But it does mean you can, if you wanted to emphasize your knobbles, you could in places. But it's just, I just enjoy showing you different options and things. What am I inflicting on you next time? Can you see how much nicer it looks offset than the one in the photograph, than the reference photograph, which is like smack bang in the middle? Which is fine because it's what it is, but I personally feel it's too central. Slightly offset is nice, I think. So next week, an old fishing boat on the beach. We're back to pencil next week. So what's coming up this week? Tomorrow morning is a still life of pears in water mixable oils or acrylics. Tomorrow afternoon is a river view in watercolour. Tomorrow evening is a metallic surface in watercolour. Friday morning is week 2 of 3 of Women Artists, Art History on Discord. Friday afternoon is Flowers from Life. Saturday morning is calligraphy, which is envelope decoration. Sunday morning is a woman walking a dog on the beach in watercolour, which was done on a Monday morning as well. Monday morning is Snowdonia waterfall in acrylics. Monday evening is the river view in watercolour. Nothing on the Tuesday afternoon, and Tuesday evening is a hedgehog in pencil. And that will bring us to Wednesday next week, which is your old fishing boat on the beach. So thank you so much for your company as usual. I like to show you different things, so that's really cool that it's yeah. But this is sort of something to learn from and just see. But if I quickly flick to camera 2, you can see it's not perfect. It's a lot more illustrative, but some of you might feel you're more illustrative than you are real. So if I was to do this again, now it's dry, I would probably put a bit more pen on some of the other ones that are behind just to get a bit more depth. But you've got the option and you can try it on different things. I mean, you might find the just trying to do a circle or a cube or something practice enough just to get to grips with it to see how you get on. So yeah, thank you very much everyone. Take care, have a good evening and the rest of the week ahead, and I'm sure I'll see you online in some form between now and then. So thanks everyone. Bye bye everyone.